On for Bridget, we are using the MAC Cosmetics Marine Brightening Lotion Spray. This is really great for hydrating the skin and prepping the face for makeup. Then I'm using the Becca Opal Shimmering Skin Perfector. This is just an illuminating lotion that's going to bring some light to the skin. And then I'm using the Professional by Benefit. This is a pore filling primer just to smooth out some areas where she might just need a little bit of extra smoothness. And then I'm going to do the eyes first with this look. So I'm going to use the MAC Soft Acre Paint Pot. This is the very bottom of it. I'm like almost out. I've tried to repurchase it, but it's been sold out every time I'm at a MAC counter, which is not very often considering I'm in Fiji. This is the Lorac Mini Pro palette. It is so cool. It is full of mattes and the shades are so beautiful and pigmented. So I just set the paint pot with that shadow. Brows with the Anastasia Dip Brow, and I think this is in soft brown. I'll just need to double check that. And I'm using my Bobbi Brown eyebrow brush to kind of fill in her eyebrows. Asbid's eyebrows are quite like a natural shape and there's not much tweezed out. Don't really need to fill them in as much, but just kind of like defining them a wee bit more and just giving them a little bit more shape. Then I'm going over with this brown eyeshadow from MAC. Oh gosh, can't remember the shades. I think this one is rubbed off, which is why I can't remember what it's called. But I've had it for a really long time and I love using it in brunettes eyebrows because it's such a like a pigmented shadow, but it is also a really nice color. And then I'm cleaning up the shape of the eyebrows and concealing any kind of stray hairs with some concealer and a brush that's can't remember what this brush is called, but it's really good for sharpening up the shape of the eyebrows and just making sure everything is nice and tidy for eyeshadow. And I'm using the Anastasia brow gel. This is the tinted one. I think it's in brunette, and just setting the eyebrows in place. So this is the Saharan palette by Juvia's Place, and I am just using this light brown shade to pop into the crease, but also just mapping out where I'm going to put the halo eye. So I'm doing it on the outer edges of the eye and then on the inner corners as well, and then connecting the two in the crease just with the same shade. I'm really making sure to blend it out and kind of making sure that there's no harsh lines at all. Then I'm going in with this kind of more orangey red shade, and I am doing the same thing, but I'm using a Sigma tapered blending brush. So this is just like a it's really good for like using in the crease and that, because it's not too big so it doesn't blow the shadow out too far. So I'm just using that in the same areas, the inners and outer corners, and just joining the two in the crease. Then I'm going to that Mini Matte Pro Matte Lorac palette again, and I am using a short shader, and I'm just grabbing that light shade and just popping it underneath Bid's eyebrows to make sure that the orange shadow doesn't go too far up into the eyebrows. And then I'm using this darker shade. This is really beautiful shadow. It blends out so well, and I'm just doing the same again, except I'm not going as far out with the orange this time, and so I'm just doing it in a smaller area, and then using that first blending brush to kind of make sure everything is blended together. You can be a little bit more messy with a look like this if you are doing the eyes first, just because you can clean everything up afterwards with your foundation. Then I grabbed this gold shade, and honestly the shimmers in these palettes are so beautiful. I think, in my opinion, they're a lot better than the matte shades, and I'm just popping that on the like the center of the lid and blending it gently into the other shadows that I've laid down. Then I'm using my MAC Fix Plus. This is one of the little mini mini bottles, and it's in the coconut scent, and I'm just spraying my brush after I've put some of that shadow on, and I'm just popping it right into the center of the lid to really make that gold pop. Then I'm just using a little bit of my Mary Kay gel liner on a liner brush, and I'm just using that along the lashes just to make sure that the lashes are like a nice depth and makes them look fuller, and also when I'm going to apply the false lashes later, it will just make sure they blend in seamlessly with its normal eyelashes and that there's no gaps. So then I'm just popping down some duo glue to start drying, and then I am using these lashes from Shop Miss A that are just $1. They're so great. So just applied those on, Mixing Strobe Cream with MAC Studio Fix Fluid in the shade C5. It's a very, very yellow based foundation, and as Biz has an olivey undertone, and she also had seen a bit of sun being in Fiji, it was quite appropriate to use like a more yellow foundation. I think it looked really well, looked really good on her, and it also matched her neck pretty well. So just apply that with a stippling brush, like a duo fiber brush, and then I use my beauty blender to go in and make sure it's all blended out and that there are no brush strokes, that it's all seamless. Then I'm using my Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. This is actually Bid's one, so that's why I applied it directly onto her face. I recommended this to her and she absolutely loves it as well. And I think she got the shade Medium too, which is the same shade that I use, and I'm just blending that out with the Beauty Blender again. It just has such a great coverage, and it's not like thick and heavy, so you don't feel like you're really caked up with it, and it just covers just so nicely. Then I'm using this World Organics Organic Skin Co bronzer. This is a cream bronzer, and I'm just using a Spectrum foundation brush, kabuki style, to warm up her skin. It is a very orange bronzer, and I think that some people don't like that look, but I think when you are based in a tropical country and you see a lot of sun, it's nice to kind of have a bit of a bronze look. Then I'm going to use this ambient lighting powder. This is one of my favorites products that I use on the skin for my clients. It just has such a beautiful glow, and I'm just applying that directly with a Real Techniques brush under the eyes to just make sure to stop any creasing. And then this is a Max Factor powder foundation, and I'm just using another Spectrum brush to dust that gently over the rest of the face. And then I'm using this Smashbox Bronzer. I really like this bronzer. I'm almost out of it actually. It's a very warm bronzer, and it blends out beautifully. It just kind of brings more kind of glow to the face. Not like it's a matte bronzer, but it just is such a beautiful color. And then I'm using my Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette. This is my favorite contour product, and I'm using that under her cheekbones and down the sides of her nose. Bridget doesn't need any contouring. She has a really beautiful shaped face, so I'm just using it quite sparingly. Then I'm going in with my oh my gosh, Champagne Pop highlighter. This is the Jaclyn Hill and Becca collaboration. Just recently bought the Jaclyn Hill palette, so I'm really excited that I can keep this one now just for my own personal use. So I'm just using that on her cheekbones, down the nose, Cupid's bow. Then I'm going into the Saharan palette by Juvia's Place as well, and this is for fairer skin tones, and I'm just applying that onto her cheeks, and it was quite like intense, so I just used a powder and kind of diluted it a bit. Then I'm going in under the eyes, so I'm going back in with the same shades, but at this time I'm not doing like a halo effect under the eye. I'm just kind of smudging it all out underneath the eyes. With Bridget's complexion and her brown eyes, I really wanted to stay with these kind of warmy browns and the golds. I really just thought they brought out her eyes beautifully. And then I'm really smudging out the lower lash line, making it really nice and smoky and quite sultry. I don't know if Bids had ever really worn makeup this glam before, and I know that she really liked it, so it was nice to kind of like smoke it out so she could see what it looked like. This is a Maybelline Colorsensational lip liner. I love them. They're in my kit. I use them myself. They're awesome. The shades are beautiful. And this is Mannequin by Jeffree Star, which I find is very versatile on a whole range of skin tones. So I'm just using that with a lip brush to apply, and then using one of these new MAC Fruity Juicy lip glosses, which I will leave down below because I can't remember the name of this one. But just applying that on top to just give her lips a bit more gloss and fullness. And then, of course, spray with my Skindinavia Makeup Setting Spray, which is a holy grail product for me. And just using that all over to make sure it all stays in place. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and of course subscribe to my channel. Thanks, bye.